All right. Well, hey everybody. Sorry, I am still down in my basement. So I'm coming to you live from down here. So yeah, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about just sustainability and how to like communicate that message to people when you're recruiting, when you're at parties, and tie that message um into dating parties, into recruiting, and into just your everyday talking about our products and stuff. So let me just kind of pull my notes over here. All right, so I'm not looking off to the side as I'm talking. All right, so I want to talk to you a little about sustainability because I know, especially when my kids were little, like this is the time, like going into the summer months and things like that. That's the time of year that I would do so much on the road with the kids and so much like packing and going and things were getting busy and all of that stuff, right? And so when you think about like sustainability solutions and that message, and throughout all the years in Tupperware, there are some Tupperware companies within Tupperware, like Champion, right? But there are some companies that is their message, and they are very clear about the sustainability message that they share with their customers and things like that. So April is all about like spring reset, simplifying life, and sustainability can definitely fit in with that message, and this is already what we do. So we're just going to put better words to it, right? So that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about today. So what that really means for us is that we're helping people, right? We're helping people waste less, we're helping people stress less, and feel more in control of their kitchen, right? And in more control of their day, and just kind of the things that, and being prepared, right? Being prepared when they're leaving the house, being prepared when they're packing things and when they're getting their day started or their week started, whether it's meal prep, whether it's prepping before they leave the house so that they don't get tempted by a drive through or by impulse items because they're just starving or the kids are starving or whatever, right? And so here's the key. People are already feeling overwhelmed this time of year because their schedules are getting busier, right? Because the weather's changing. And it just kind of leads to more yeses, right? More yeses to going to the park or things that they want to do, as well as things they're sort of obligated to do. And also just the busyness, right? The busyness of cleaning up, whether it's the yard work or if it's wanting to spring clean the house and do things like that, right? So their schedules are picking up, and their kitchens are also maybe starting to feel a little chaotic, right? Maybe they kind of neglected the organization of their kitchen in the winter months. They were just kind of like surviving and getting by, right? And so that's where we come in, right? Not as salespeople, but as problem solvers, right? That's 100% what we are. We're problem solvers. So that's where we can come in with the solution to these problems that are plaguing them, whether it's overwhelming, organization, time saving, being more prepared, right? So let's don't overcomplicate the sustainability piece. Let's talk, this is not about being perfect. This is about saving money, saving food, and using what you have better, right? So one of the things that I love to do, whether I'm at parties or I'm doing a live, is that yes, I talk to them about our products and how our products are going to help them, but I also never want somebody to feel like, well, those are really great ideas, but I don't have that. I don't have that in my kitchen. I don't have that in my hands. So I guess that doesn't apply to me. I never wanted somebody to leave the party and think, well, she gave really great ideas, but I don't have all of those things she just talked about. So I can't implement any of those ideas. So after I give a demonstration, whether I'm talking about our fridge smarts or I'm talking about microwavable stuff, I also try to give them tips and ideas that they can use in the meantime until they get a chance to get our products, right? Because I remember going to, I'm not going to name names. I remember going to a home party and the person did this amazing demonstration. And I was so pumped and I really wanted to go home and try that recipe. And she made me feel like if I didn't have the $200 worth of products that she just demoed, that I couldn't possibly do the recipe. And I remember leaving there feeling really deflated because I didn't have 200 bucks to spend on that stuff, And so I never wanted anybody, I never want somebody to feel that way when I get done doing my demonstration, right? So that's why I give tips. And I'm like, in the meantime, try these tips. And in all my lives, I say, come back and tell me your results, right? So whether I'm talking about microwavable stuff, I give them tips like, here are tips you can do to make your leftovers taste better in the meantime until you get a chance to get our microwavable stuff. Boom, 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 come back and tell me your results, right? And our fridge smarts, here's some things you can do to make your fruits and vegetables last longer even without our fridge smarts. Come back and tell me your results. I'm telling you, your fridge smarts are going to do even better, but in the meantime, here are some little tips you can do to kind of start getting a taste of things lasting longer. You know what I mean? So that's where our products can help, and that's where we can be the solutions, right? So if I can help people throw less food away each week, that adds up fast. And that lands with people way more than talking about products. So let's talk about dating parties, right? So because that's where we really shine, right? That's where we really shine. So maybe I'm doing a few spring reset sessions. Would you want to come to one of those with your friends? That's a great way to frame it up. You're not using the P word. Okay. Sometimes we were like, right. So you can just kind of sidestep that. And you can plug in some of these little ideas, waste less kitchen session, or you can use the word P word. You can use whatever word you like to use for party, right? And it's like saving money, using food better, or spring reset planning and getting ahead of busy weeks, or clean counter, clear mind, decluttering and feeling calmer, or coffee chat, a super casual, low pressure. And you're just kind of talking about what are some tips and ideas to make your life run better, right? To make things a little bit easier and smoother day in and day out. You see how different that feels than saying, do you want to have a Tupperware party? So when you kind of frame it up a little bit differently, and then we're offering those solutions to all of these different problems. So you're offering a solution, you're not asking a favor. So when it comes to recruiting, it's the same thing, it's the same sort of thing. So this is such a natural time to start talking about the opportunity, because as much as things are starting to busy up, this is also an expensive time of the year because everybody's wardrobe is changing, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, my kids don't have any bathing suits to fit them, and now everybody needs new Crocs or whatever the shoe of the summer is for your family, or whatever. Everybody's outgrown everything. It's just one of those things. So everything just got, and then summer camps, and they're playing travel ball this summer, whatever. And so it just gets expensive. So you can say things like, I've been loving helping people simplify their kitchens, and honestly, it's turned into a really fun side income. Or something like, I work with women who want a little extra income, but also love helping others. Let me know if you ever want some info. Keep it light and keep it real, and keep it authentic to what your message is that you're wanting to put out there. And you're inviting, you're not convincing. And that's the big thing. You're just extending an invitation. And one of the things that I think I've learned in Tupperware over the years that has impacted me in Tupperware, but also in my everyday, is that inviting more than once. Because when you invite somebody once and they say no, and you're just like, oh, okay, that's great. But when you invite another time and another time, it's actually very sincere. And somebody gave the example one time about, you walk up to a group of people and they're talking about going someplace, or maybe they're like, hey, and they're talking about going to a restaurant or something. And then you happen on the conversation, they're like, oh, we're heading to the brewery. Did you want to come? And you're just like, oh, no, I'm good. Because you literally walked in on a conversation. You're like, that was a pity invite. And then they're like, no, seriously, you should really come. That's invite two. And you're like, I don't know. And they're like, come on, we really want you to come. That's invite three. And that feels really sincere, because if they'd only said it once, they're just like, oh, we're going to go to the brewery. Do you want to come? And I say no. They're like, okay. that was a pity invite. I said no. They didn't repeat it again. So that told me they actually didn't want me to come. They just were being polite because I walked up in the conversation. You know what I'm saying? So think about that the next time when you're inviting people to join your business. I have somebody that I've asked so many times to invite the business. It's a joke. Like it literally is a joke. And it's to the point where I'm just like, are you going to make my day today and finally say yes to me after all these years? Like that's the way I approach her when I go to talk to her about the business. Cause I've asked her so many times because I know she'd be amazing. And it's silliness at this point, but she would be amazing. And the day that she actually says yes, I will be like shouting from the rooftops. And whether or not she actually like rises to the top or becomes a leader, at that point, it really doesn't matter. I just think that she'd have a really great time. It's not about like leadership and that. I just think she'd really enjoy the community and it would be something fun for her, you know? So, anyways, so think about that the next time when you're like, oh, I already asked that person to date a party. Don't be shy to ask them again. Okay, so for as far as like social media and things like that, keep your content simple. I loved Nikki's ideas. I kind of came in shortly after she started, but I love the ideas that she shared. They were so simple, and that's the magic. You know, don't overcomplicate it. You don't need anything fancy. Post things like your fridge. You know, those are her talking about the potatoes, like not so many potatoes with the onions. That's so simple, right? And to us, it's like, duh, but people don't know that. Like, I'm always blown away by the tips I share in my live, and people are like, I had no idea. And I'm like, really? Like, so, you know, but share your fridge, share a meal prep, share a quick tip, share a before and after, all of those type of things, and pair it with less mess, less stress, or small changes make a big difference. You know, done is better than perfect. Gosh, that is like my like my theme. Done is better. That's my mantra. Okay. So here's what I want you to focus on. All right. So start some conversations and just play with it. You've got nothing to lose. Just literally start conversations. If you're not comfortable starting the conversations with your customers and with the strangers or whatever, practice on people, practice on family members. Be like, listen, I need to practice some things. Can I play around with some conversations with you? Can you role play with me? And you guys can have a big laugh about it, right? But invite a couple people to host something simple, right? Just invite a couple people, have some conversations, and share some real life posts, some real life stuff going on in your kitchen or in your life. That's it. You know, not perfect, not overthought, just consistent. Because it's about doing more, right? It's about doing more consistently, which is exactly what Nikki was talking about. And so it's about doing what we already do, but we're saying it in a way that people actually connect with, right? That people connect with, that they relate to. They're like, oh, same. Like that is the best. Like when you're scrolling, that's what stops your scroll. When you see something and somebody says something and you're just like, oh, same. You know, like somebody does something, they drop their coffee and you're like, oh, that's my day right there. You know, but whatever, you know, but that's what it's really about. So we've got this. We can totally do this, but that's what we're about. We're about sustainability. And so when we start sharing, because we're already walking the walk, guys, we're already walking the walk. We have our big teas, you know, we're packing our stuff in our products, and we're doing all those things every day. We just need to make sure that we're taking the shots and we're showing people the things that we're doing, because it could literally be the solution to the chaos that they're feeling day in and day out. And to us, it's second nature. And to them, they're like, oh my gosh, what a fantastic idea. I hadn't even thought of something as simple as that. So yeah, let's go be the solution for all these wonderful people. So, all right, back to you, Pam.